About to touch down here. A little bit off-centered. Not too bad, though. A little bit of a bumpy ride with this runway here overall. Oh, that's not good. Hello and welcome, friends. My name is Frenzy here, bringing you more Kerbal Space Program Career 1.0. I'll get into a little bit why this episode took a little bit longer to get out, but for now we're launching kind of a Dreamchaser-esque type of plane. I came up with this design mainly because I thought it gave me some reusability. I thought it was a good way to get science as well, and have a little bit of reusability rather than waste just most of the rocket doing this. Probably not the most efficient way to do it. As you see, my boosters explode below me, which is actually probably a good thing so they don't go back and hit the Kerbal Space Center. But you'll see here, I'm trying to do a mission here, which I think will be very doable with what we have. I actually really enjoy this spacecraft. It's very fun to fly. It works pretty well. You can see Valentina in the bottom right is enjoying it as well. Who can blame her? She's awesome. And one of the nice things about this is it's essentially just a glider. In this design that I have it as right now, that I kind of done, I did a little bit of science with it before, and it's 100% reusable. And in this way it is. Later on, I'm going to go ahead and do it, and I'll probably use this to get into orbit. And I don't think I'm going to be able to reuse it then, but for just kind of doing science, like up in the atmosphere, doing that parachute, you can see I just need to be 19,000 meters up. Speed's not overwhelmingly high, so this is really good for these types of missions, and it gives me a lot of reusability. You can see the probe core is ugly, very ugly attached to the side there, and hopefully I can unlock some nicer looking probe cars, some inline ones, which should make this look a whole lot better. But you can see I did the mission, got that done, so that's 100% what we wanted. We still have tons of fuel, and this is why I ended up using it as kind of my orbital, I guess my orbital ship, because it was pretty easy to do that. And you can see here I detached, so now I'm completely without engines, just 100% gliding, no fuel in the tank, so basically just using it as kind of a structure. So we're just going to have to land this kind of shuttle style, no fuel, just straight up as a glider. You can see here I'm going to go ahead and deploy these parachutes. I think I'm going to have them I deployed those two of them at first, that way that'll kind of slow them down and I can cut them later if I need to kind of speed things up a little bit here. Kind of a cool view, just looking straight down at KSC. Valentina don't care, she gonna land this thing. And who could blame her, because she is a boss. And we're just coming down, you can see kind of Kerbin, the curvature of Kerbin in the distance. Just looks really cool. Again, this was one of the more fun vehicles I've actually had a chance to create. And while we're kind of coming down here, I thought I would... I will be honest, this episode is probably going to be about like 13 minutes, I think, in total length, something like that. And it took probably a good 2 days to try to get out there, just because I kept crashing over and over again. And for a 13-minute episode, I probably ended up crashing about 30 times, and I'm not 100% sure what's causing it. I think it's some of these mods. I ended up stripping it down. You'll actually see towards the end of the video I ended up going with getting rid of like the environmental visuals packs, and it still wasn't really fixing anything. So I think it maybe just be some conflict. There was a couple of hot fixes. I think maybe that might be just some mod that I'm not really sure about, or just some conflict that kind of got created as a result of this. So going forward, I may have to restart and just kind of catch up to where I am. So if that happens, I apologize if anything looks kind of funny, or you're kind of like, wait, that wasn't there, or that didn't happen before. But so I'm going to go ahead and go forward with the series, because I'm really having a lot of fun with it. I'm really enjoying it. Hopefully you guys are too. This thing is coming down nicely as we're starting to glide our way down here. I'm about to go ahead and do a little spin maneuver to get myself kind of lined up with the runway. But yeah, so it was a challenge to get this episode out, which is why I haven't done an episode in 2 days. Yeah, so crashing 30 times, it's a little bit frustrating. I'm pretty laid back and relaxed, but even that gets on my nerves a little bit. No fault. I think it's just really just me pushing it a little bit in terms of trying to get mods on, just having a hotfix. So I think it's more my own doing than Squad or any of the mod makers, for sure. You can see me. I'm trying to do some S turns here to bleed off some speed so I don't come in too fast. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and go ahead and land this bad boy. And going forward, I think everything, I may just need to restart. I may just need to reinstall KSP, maybe limit my mods, or, maybe just needs, there's some conflict that was created as a result of some of these mods that maybe I just need to do a clean install. So I'm going to do some testing when I come back for episode 4 as we bring this bad boy in for a landing. It's small, but it's very nice. It's a very small but nice plane. And we're going to go ahead and, if I can actually touch the runway, that would be ideal. And we're down. All right, very nice, Valentina. She is a pro. Absolutely 100%. She's an awesome pilot. And since Jeb died in the previous episode, she's all I've got right now. So I really need to keep her alive, and she's doing a great job. As we slow down here and come to a stop. All right, we're back to this vessel. I want to go ahead and land this thing. That is my goal. That is my hope with this vehicle. So again, fully reusable. So saving as much money as I can, even though really I probably don't need to right now. I have a fair bit of money, but hey, it can add up over time, especially with these planes. So mainly for this episode, I'm trying to get into orbit and do some science. And again, I apologize. The way I had to do it was basically use quick saves. I did multiple recordings. I probably recorded a ton of footage, but I kept crashing and I lost footage. And so it'll probably look a little weird just because of how I had to get it done. So again, I apologize for when that actually occurs. But we're going to go deploy parachutes as this thing flips around. Fortunately, the parachutes do not break off. That is awesome. As we're coming down a little bit here, I'm just going to land this thing down, tap it right on its engine. So I think that'll be perfect. We're at 11 meters a second, so that's not too bad. But we do want to kill some of that speed because that is a little bit too fast to place this thing down on its engine. And I should get quite a bit of actual funds back. I'm landing this right next to the actual space center or the launch pad. So we're coming down here, 3.13 meters a second. So this is perfect. This should be plenty soft to bring this thing down. And touchdown! Recover vessel very quickly. We don't want it to tip over. So very nice. We got our part value back for that, and we're gonna go ahead and recover this as well. So we got science, we got everything, we got Valentina. We're perfect. And here is again, I made some design changes just to make this thing a little bit better for orbit. I'm using the inline cockpit, which is really cool looking. The IVA on it, which I think I'll jump into here in a little bit, is really cool. It's a very nice looking cockpit. Thanks to PorkJet, who contributed to the 1.0, some of these designs and some of these models. So he's awesome. And we're coming up here. Again, this thing is really cool. I attached some more science to it as well, so I can kind of get some of that done. I've already technically been in orbit, but I'm going to get some high Kerbal orbit science. Just because I'd like to get some of this stuff done, get some of these science things done out of the way. I think next episode my goal is to try to maybe do a flyby of the moon, see what I can do, maybe that. I don't know if I'll land on it in the next episode, but we'll see. Just kind of see what's going to happen here. So yeah, I have been to orbit, so full disclosure, just because of all the crashing and things like that. But we're coming along here. I'm not going to the moon despite it coming on the horizon. I could technically burn for it here, but I'm not going to do that. I want to go ahead and just get into orbit, high orbit, get some more science done, land this thing. And landing it was where I had all the trouble. I probably crashed 25 times there. So it was the majority of my crashes was coming through. So I don't know if it was something just with re-entry or some of the parts or what was going on, but it was strange. So we're just going to go ahead and boost my apoaps here a little bit here to get that high orbit, high over Kerbal science. So that'll be ideal. We'll boost it up to maybe around 300, I think would be probably a good stopping point. And just go ahead and stop. Perfect. And we'll go ahead and flash ahead till we're actually up there. And we can do a materials study, which is absolutely 100% what we want, because that's going to maximize our science here. You can see here, like, I may have already done this, again, because it crashed so many times. I honestly don't know what I've done and what I haven't done, so I apologize for that. We're going to go ahead and bring our periaps down here to try like 20,000 meters at that point, and we'll see if that gets us to where we need to be. We're going to jump ahead. That's where I had a lot of crashing, so I apologize for it being such a sudden kind of cut there, but that's kind of what had to happen for me to to be able to get this thing down. It kept crashing before this, during this. I got pretty close to the runway. I thought maybe as like the game loaded up the runway, it was causing issues, but it didn't seem to be, because I got pretty close, and it would I got to the point where I was like just about to land, and it would crash, and it would just completely mess up all my recordings. So we're gonna do some S turns here, similar to what the shuttle does. Not quite that similar, but nothing quite like this, but it's gonna kill some speed, which is absolutely what we want. See, I've got a fair bit of reheating there, but overall not too bad. These parts survived pretty well despite the beating. Actually, the worst thing was my landing legs. You can see I have landing gear on there in case I need to do some kind of abort where something messed up. I have parachutes in that cargo bay in the front of the plane where I can open that up and deploy parachutes, and then I can actually just land it tail first. So that's kind of a nice thing, kind of an abort procedure I have here. But we're not going to need it. Valentina's a baller. She doesn't need no stinking abort plan. She's going to land this thing. I'm doing again, trying to bleed off some speed here. We're coming down pretty well. I think I'll need to hopefully get some of those air brakes. Unlocking those, I think, would be really key. Because we came at a pretty good angle here, so I had to bleed off some speed by continuously turning, which kind of messed up my approach a little bit, but that's not a bad thing. We're good with that, and we're coming in nicely here. Valentina's got this bad boy lined up using the flight indicators mod, which I've actually done a mod overview. You should definitely check it out. It's a very simple mod, straightforward, but I find it's really useful for landing because it shows you that little circle, that your prograde vector. I find that's really useful for kind of figuring out, like, okay, where is my plane actually going to kind of touch down? You know, particularly when you're gliding, you don't have actually, you know, a powered landing. Or under any kind of power, which I technically could. I still have some liquid fuel in that LV909, but they're very weak, I have to say, when you're using them in atmosphere now, which I think is good. I think that's a good kind of nerf that they had here. We're coming in pretty nicely here, though. Not too bad. Oh, we have a nice little bounce. Not the ideal landing, but considering all things considered, I think that's not too bad. That's a touchdown here. A little bit off-centered. Not too bad, though. A little bit of a bumpy ride with this runway here. Overall. Oh, that's not good. All right, Val, you got this. You got this. Oh, going off the runway a little bit here. Kind of riding on two wheels. All right. Sorry. A little bit back under control here. Ooh, oh, my goodness. This was interesting. This was a close one. But Valentina, she's baller. She's got this. Not a worry. As we come to a complete and full stop. 100% fantastic. All right, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and start to wrap this episode up. Just kind of hop into the science, maybe get some additional fuel as I kind of look through the parts here. But again, thanks for putting up with me for this episode. I know it's a little bit hectic, crazy. Hopefully everything should be a little bit smoother sailing from here on out. I'll try to figure some things out now that I have a little bit of time. I kind of had half this episode recorded prior to it having crashing issues, and then half of it didn't. So it was a little bit hectic trying to get it out. I'm going to go ahead and try to pre-record either some KSP videos, maybe something else. If there's any other games you'd like me to check out, hopefully I might have it, and I can kind of play it as well. I'm trying to look for something else in case KSP does kind of keep crashing, and I think it's always good to kind of branch out a little bit too. KSP will always be my first love, so if you subscribe for that reason, no worries there. I'll always have KSP videos going, but if you want to see anything else, let me know. Just as a heads up too, I am going to try to do some pre-recording to get a bunch of videos done, edited. Hopefully I can just kind of push them out as I need to. I'm actually going to be graduating tomorrow, so yay, getting my master's, always exciting. So I'm going to be doing that, so I'll be pretty busy these next couple days because I'm going to be moving as well. So I'm not only graduating, I'm moving the day after that into an apartment. So it's going to be a little hectic, and hopefully I'll be able to be pretty consistent. My goal is kind of 4 or 5 episodes a week. Or 4 or 5 videos a week, I really should say. But finally, go ahead, tap that like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe as well if you're not already, or tell your friends if you've already subscribed. I really appreciate that too. Give your comments, suggestions. I'd love to hear it. Finally, I will see you next time.